Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Pronago. I am the lead designer of Cosmonarchy, and today I am also the caster. Once again, we're going to be taking a look at another mirror matchup, but it's not just 2 players, it's actually 3. And so I have prepared a little bit of a group stage-esque overlay here in the bottom left, where we're going to have Hamster, JarrellStorm, and TheNightFox all duking it out. TheNightFox was kind enough to validate and submit these replays. I don't think it's an even split for how many players actually were in there, but you know, we'll see how things go. We're going to kick things off on Impetus, and our first matchup will be Hamster versus JarrellStorm. I think at some point Hamster was like making food or whatever, and then so he wasn't playing too much until like later on. So this is one of those later on games, I suppose, if Hamster is here playing and gaming. Classic move from the man. He is the oh man, what color is this? Let's come back to that one, because JarrellStorm, I believe he is going to be the Zinwaldite brown, and he is in the top right. Hamster, on the other hand, Hamster is... It's not... Russian green is much like bolder than this color, I'm pretty sure. Although it would be pretty funny if he was Russian green, considering Hamster is, in fact, Russian. I'm going to say Celadon. Haha, got him. You know what? I just recalled, I'm pretty sure Hamster plays as Celadon every time, but on Zerg it looks so different, so I totally forgot about that. We do have a couple of ambient sound effects in the game now. Not the sound effects for when you're actually building the structure as of the time of like this replay being played, but you can hear the Zerg eggs hatching every now and then. Isn't that epic? We did end up adding a lot more ambient sound effects semi-recently. So this is a game that was played, I think, on the 3rd of October, and I'm recording this on the 8th. So that should tell you a little thing or two about how far out we are. But we did get some good sound effects in. I still have yet to add some sound effects for Terran construction when they complete their structures. There should be some kind of global sound effect that plays when a structure is done. And then after that, I wanted it to play like a sound effect for when, like basically play its selection response. So the sound that you get when you actually select the structure, that playing when the structure is done, I think would be pretty cool. I also hooked up an advisor event for when a Zerg structure actually finishes mutating. I don't know why that wasn't a default sound effect, but hey, it also wasn't there for Protoss either, so just another thing that Starcraft does not have, but Cosmonarchy does. Hey, you know what else Cosmonarchy has? This one Starcraft does have, of course, but we do exist on Liquipedia now, so I thought that would be cool to mention. Looks like Hamster's going to go for double Izira core into an expansion. He's gone Den first. A stark contrast versus JarrellStorm's more typical pool into Larvosk build. He is gonna be rocking this kind of... It's almost an older style. I do see a lot of Zergs playing for that faster expansion. But with the Quasilisks already out here, 6 of them on the ramp, sure, you got 3 Izira cores, but despite the fact that these units are kind of tanky and do have that multi-target, I feel like the cliff advantage is going to help out, especially since Gerald will actually know that these bad boys are coming. He can maybe grab a couple of Zephyr cores or more Quases or something like that. And you can see the damage output isn't stellar. It's just a question of how many can you burst down. Actually, more Quas are already made, so Gerald should be in the clear here. He might get his expansion delayed a little bit. We'll see what Hamster wants to do on that front as he waddles out another Izira core, another one in the making. So you know, he's just right now kind of pressuring a little bit, and it looks like that hatch is going to be dropped on the ramp or near the ramp. So yeah, this looks like a very big throwback game. Gerald not wanting to cede the larva advantage too far. In fact, he has an advantage right now, considering he made his Larvosk. That does come online faster at the cost of it requiring some Vespene. Meanwhile, though, obviously Hamster is rocking that faster expansion. So, yeah, it looks like he also wants his macro hatch. He's not harvesting any Vespene yet, so he's limited to just Izira cores. Izira cores are a mineral-only unit. The Hydralisk does still cost Vespene in Cosmonarchy, so he's not going for any of that, but he will be starting to harvest his Vespene now. Interesting back and forth. I'm wondering about the openers here. Now, you know, Izira cores are pretty tanky, like I said. I feel like Hamster could have maybe taken a more bold stance against these Quas, but now he's been bruised a little bit, and, you know, you don't want to cede too much ground over here. You can see the bounces really working out wonders for Hamster, but he does end up dropping 2 Izira cores, a third one going to go down as the reinforcements come in, and Hamster is going to have to waddle himself up to the bridge. Gerald has the larva advantage for sure right now, and Hamster has been drolling up a little bit, although he does have some more Izira cores coming. He'll be totally safe from any attacks, but I do think that Gerald's going to need to take that expansion pretty soon, because Hamster could conversely like try to power and then go for like mass, you know, He's going to go up to 3 larvae producing every 14 seconds now, right? And Gerald's thinking about his own naturals, which is good. I was going to say that Hamster could basically power up. And he's burrowing. When you burrow, your Zerg units regenerate twice as fast. So it's important to see that. Just kind of egoing the quads, just Chad walking towards them. It's mass quads. Some Zethar cores now coming out here. If the Zeths can actually get on top of the workers or the structures or even the Azir cores themselves simultaneously while dodging all of the bounces, I'm not really sure how that would go. They will deal a lot of damage. Their DPS is off the charts. The Ovaleth now leaving towards the bottom right. That does mean that we're going to be seeing a Zeth drop in the mineral line for Jarrell's main. This is, of course, again, impetus by Veek7. It has its own Liquipedia page and everything. It's pretty cool that it has such a droppable main. But you know what? Those Azir cores in the drop might need to be coming back home. Instead, he's maintaining the course, and he looks like he will be seeding a couple of workers here because Gerald just powered up over in this situation. And you're going to ignore the hatch. That makes a lot of sense. Don't give your opponent time to do anything right now. He's got 5 Azir cores, and they are pretty easy to isolate right now. A couple more about to pop out, but yeah, both of those structures going down. Those Kagrins not turning into static defense. He does get rid of the Zethar cores, but now the workers can really start to get absolutely shellacked by the Quas. They ruin worker lines if they're allowed to get access to them. That's why you make Zets usually. They're a little bit easier to get access to. Now, they don't really do very good damage to the worker line, or sorry, to the Azir core because of the armor. But you can see Gerald having to take his eye off the ball. That's going to allow Hamster to clean up shop back at the main. And look at that, catching him unawares. There were no combat units being made for Gerald. He did instead have a bunch more units coming on in that area. And so, 2 Azir cores, 2 of them very bruised. It looks like he might end up losing the hatch. Once again, Gerald just going to go ahead and commit to it. 2 Azir cores fanning out to kill the natural workers. Oh my god, Gerald is down to 2 workers. A very bloody game in the early game, but I don't see how Hamster could possibly clean this up. He would need to get rid of the Zethar cores in particular so that he could kill their DPS versus the structures. And even then, he's not going to be able to contend with this. So yeah, definitely dire situation here as the Zets try to hunt down these workers. I told you the Zeth DPS is off the charts. They can kill all these hatches very easily. Only, 5 workers left? It's been a total, wash in terms of the action early game. Let's see what he can do over here, because he's trying to drill on top so he can keep some of his workers alive. He doesn't have the money to harvest. If he loses this last worker, he's going to have to cancel those Hydras. And no, he's getting canceled instead. Hamster drops to Gerald, and that is game number 1 done. Well, a 7-minute brawl, but don't worry, we got more ZvZ action. Let's go on to the next game. Going into here, we've got Hamster versus TheNightFox, and we are on Maxium, with Hamster as the Celadon Zerg in the top right, and TheNightFox as the Coyote Brown Zerg. Hell yeah, dude, I got that. I got the Zinwaldite guess. I got that Coyote guess. Hamster's rocking the Celadon because that's what he definitely does, but pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, JarrellStorm and Hamster are both part of Clan Ass, the Anti-Shambler Society. But eventually, I guess the running bit right now is that when Shambler fails to... the Shambler is a player that we have. When he fails to qualify to an Acropolis, or he fails to place in the tournament, there's something about his placement where if he fails to place highly enough, probably to get invited back or something like that, we're going to be in a situation where they rename the clan to Anti-Salt Society, which I think is pretty funny. So we do have the NightFox coming in here. I haven't seen his Zerg play in some time, but it was really cool that they decided to go for Zerg mirrors. He's going to go for the pool opener, and we did see Hamster go for a much faster den opener. So that's kind of an interesting little pivot there, as Hamster thinking about scouting with his worker. Once again, there's no supply in Cosmonarchy. I say once again, I didn't say this in this cast. If you guys are wondering where the Ovaleths are, well, let me tell you, you do make them to scout, you do make them for transport, but you don't make them for much else. The NightFox is going to be harvesting up his gas requirement so that he can make a Larvosk. That's going to be his follow-up. And we've got the Hamster actually going for a very fast expansion after his Hydrith Den opener. I wonder if this is some kind of read or something. Like on a 4-spawn map, it's kind of hard to tell that from your opponent, right? You can't scout them in the early game. You don't know if you're going to be, heavy all in. So this is, I would say, a vulnerable build. And even then, going hatch instead of Larvosk does mean that you come online later, right? It's more resources overall. And we've got an Azir core coming out for Hamster. I think he should be able to hold early aggression in the case of Quasilisks. Having half of the number of Quasis in Azir cores should be sufficient. And he is going to go up to actually a Droll before getting 3 I0 cores. That's pretty interesting. So, there you go. Some advice as well for JarrellStorm if you care to pause to read it. If you're a Zerg player or an aspiring Zerg player, might be useful info. But yeah, interesting play styles here coming online. Hamster trying for a bit of a greedy play. I0 core going to go ahead and wander to the top left as his worker scout has not found anything in the bottom half of the map. And I will use this opportunity to take a sip and remind you that coffee is not free, and it's also a website where you can spend your 3s. You can donate. I0 core getting shoon away, by the way. Shoon away. This is an older version of the map that doesn't have the tile fixes here and doesn't have the drop holes patched, but I did end up fixing that sometime. Oh yeah, and I said earlier that like this was played on the 3rd of October. It's actually the 2nd, my mistake on that. Had to take my sip for real. I am pretty happy with how things are going as far as the project is concerned, getting a lot of those ambient sound effects. I tell you guys, I do wish I had gotten the Zerg stuff done in time for the ZvZ stuff, because you'd be hearing that creepy, crawly, tendrily sound of the structures being mutated and stuff. And I really like the way that came out. Hamster on the ball when it comes to his unit movement. He's actually kept the Shambler here. This is the in-joke here. Shambler used to always burrow his worker in the enemy choke to keep an eye out for when they leave, and that's exactly what Hamster is doing. So the NightFox will have an opportunity to smash the Shambler. Yeah! Kill him! Oh man, hit him up. Just subscribed on Coffee for more money because of that. And we have got some Hydras on the way, a Circuit that is now complete. So I don't think that the damage dealt by the NightFox's Quasilisks is going to be too consequential. It did almost slow Hamster's attention on his macro hatch, so there is that. Taking a couple of shots. Yeah, Fox is right to kind of disengage there. I wonder if you couldn't just kind of stand here, though, and at least keep a unit or two over there to watch out for any move-outs. Because now Fox is... he's confirmed that there's probably an expansion here. You can't know. And the reason I say you can't know is because an Ovoleth can pick up a Kagrant and then drop it, and then it can turn into a Circuit, right? So, like, that would be like an Overlord transporting a creep colony. It can't pick it up after it mutates into an actual defensive structure, or indeed a production structure in the case of the Larvosk. So now Hamster getting active on the map, seeing where Fox's units are. Fox not realizing that his units are now on a conga line. Might end up losing a couple of them here. Nope, figures it out. Just posturing, just seeing what's going on. Allowing his units to kind of do that for him. 3rd hatch nearly complete for Hamster. Neither player having excellent saturation just yet, with Fox at a very slight worker lead. That's actually going to balloon up a little bit, but let's see if he can hold the way back. Yeah, Hydra's actually bursting down wounded Quas after they get kind of splattered by all of the AoE damage, or the multi-target damage from the I0 cores. Actually feels pretty interesting to me. I think that is a good thing, or a cool thing. Massing up them Hydras, getting things going. Now, the Ovoleth is queued up here. I don't know if that's actually going to be for a drop. Obviously, Hamster did lean towards that on the Impetus match versus JarrellStorm, and it did actually do some really good damage, right? It caught him super unawares. But looking at the layout of this map, it's actually a lot harder to hit a drop. Like, where are you going to hit? Here? Well, there's already a Circuit, and you've scouted it with your army. So I think Hamster's going to try to take a straight-up fight, and the Ovoleth is probably going to be for advanced scouting, or maybe like a later, longer move that you have to go all the way around the rest of the map for. The Hydra's focusing down the Circuit. That is going to be remade, or at least attempted to, as the workers are pulled to try to engage the Hydras, because the pool units did not fare very well with those Quas. Now burrowing, the poor Drollets still getting hunted down. The Circuit being ignored might have been a bit of a mistake there for Hamster. He is up by 5 workers, so you can't really complain too much if you're in his position, but allowing that to get up does mean that I think Fox has a way back in a little bit. Losing another worker. It's still pretty big. I mean, make no mistake, but you do have more ubiquitous worker production, I guess. There you go. Get him. Bully him. Workers of the world, unite! Ah, he didn't get the kill. Denied. Extra hatch in the main for Hamster. He's up to 4 larvae every 14 seconds. Comparatively, we've got actually more of that over here for Fox. He might end up going for a 4th Larvosk, which would be, yep, I think that's it. No, that's a Circuit. Okay, it's anti-drop, I see. And he's already got his Quas on patrol. He knows what Hamster's like. Hamster, though, looks like he might actually be positioning for a Doom drop inside the natural. And look at this. I don't know where Fox is getting this idea from, but he's actually getting active and on the map, thinking that maybe his opponent was making workers behind that. He will force a cancel on this. Yep, it is going to get canceled and the worker killed before it can burrow. Not that it would have mattered. You can stand on burrowed units to reveal them nowadays. And look at this. Still massing up more units. might threaten the front line here. There is a second Circuit on the way. The structure armor obviously going to help out for the Quas. He's going to commit to it. See if he can just pick those Hydras. Hamster might be a bit of a punching bag these days, but let's see if that's true, because I feel like he's still got a little fight left in him. Circuit's going to get remutated. It's not actually going to finish, though. Neither is the first one that never even went up. And now the Hydra drop over here. It should be good to contest these Quas over here on this side, but it is getting attacked by the Circuit at the same time. I like that Hamster plays these kinds of games where he's just forcing fights on multiple fronts. He does have a lot of Hydras to clean that up. And look, Fox was not able to actually finish the job on this area. I love the inclusion of that one Izira core. It occupied the time of those Quas for so long. I think that's why these Hydras were able to do what they did. They're still going to be somewhat good at, oh, not quite end up able to get out of there, but they're still going to be able to, you know, tie up some of the Quas there. Good little advance unit from Fox, realizing, okay, my opponent is coming across the map with Hydras. The back and forth is real. Fox still with a 5-worker lead. If he can stabilize, if he doesn't end up losing over in this situation, he's putting another Circuit down, but it's pretty widespread, right? So, you know, he's scrambling to put some defense here. It didn't really work out well for Hamster when he was the one scrambling for that. And now we don't actually have that many. We don't have any Zets. We don't have anything else. It's just pure Quas. He scrambles the anti-drop response down as an emergency reaction to what's going on over here. And now his protection is under attack. Yeah, his production is going to come on down. I feel like at this point, Hamster has so many Hydras in the base. It is going to be so difficult for Fox to get through this. But he does have 14 Quasilisks that just spawned. Let's see if he can deal with this position, because right now Hydras are absolutely wrecking face. Going after the Larvosks, they can try to snipe them down very nicely, and camping the production is definitely a good move here for Hamster. Kind of getting picked on a couple of different sides, but that Larvosk is, yeah, it's going down. I don't know if Fox can handle him with just pure Quas. I feel like maybe a couple of Zethra cores would have potentially made the difference, considering they're trying to DPS down the production while this is all going on. Just let the Quas wail on them a little bit longer. Anybody wondering, the Quas does have one armor pen, so it does ignore the armor of the Hydra. It is dealing full damage to them. The Hydras just do that much better versus the Quas, right? Circuit in a good position to maybe occupy a couple of this, but, you know, the two Hydras are going to be annoying. Oh my god, if they get a worker kill. Oh no, he did get a worker kill. Brutal. Well, all right. Well, third base is back, and actually it finished here for Hamster while all that excitement was going on, and he's setting up a Doom drop with 3 Izira cores in each Ovaleth. So those are going to be those frontline Chadney guys. You know, they come up, they say, what's up? Hello, I am Giga Chad. Actually, they're just regular Chad. Oh no! Hamster, unload the other one. You forgot, you offloaded it. Yeah, and of course the Ovaleth is a detector, so it will show the Droleths there. Oh, he's scooping them up. He gets one of them into the main. That's going to be annoying. Fox needs to also reset his workers. He has no income right now. He's pulled all of his workers in all bases. He needs to unburrow those ones. Remember that the detector allows you to see the burrowed units, obviously, just like in a normal game, right? So it's not looking too hot. Hamster has taken the worker advantage. He's massing up more Hydras. Oh, his Izira cores are just bullying. And now he's going to go ahead and try to elevate her down over there. Maybe see a frontal attack, what it can do. Only one Izira core with the main army, so the Quas are going to be a little bit more dangerous. But the Circuit is not necessarily long for this world. Okay, that Izira core in the Ovaleth is still alive. Fox recalls some of his Quas to stamp out these Hydras. I can't imagine him winning with pure Quas right now. I feel like that ship has sailed. Both players now floating a decent amount of cash. Larvosk's remade, so, you know, the larva production rate is actually identical for all players right now, for both players. Oh my god, another, just being annoying with these drops, man. Well, at least he restacks his workers there. A little bit faster than you might have expected. Finding another spot to it. I bet Fox didn't anticipate that. Oh, worker dice. Oh man, it's a good thing he saved that one worker with 1 HP left. Hey, before these Kagrins actually finish, Fox is going to go ahead and descend upon it. He's got like 20-something, Quas over here. So he will end up canceling these static defense structures and maybe getting a little bit of worker damage for himself. He desperately needs to claw back into this game somehow. He is going to try to focus fire these Izira cores, but I don't know that that's actually going to work out for him. He might get 2 if he's lucky. No, okay, GG. He does end up getting a second Izira core, but the constant cheesy drops got me all fucked up, and you know what? That is fair. Hamster with the win. All right. Hey, we can do another game. Let's see what happens next in the ZvZ, DBZ, ZvZ. I don't know what anime we're watching, but it's pretty cool. Straight into Paradise, we've got JarrellStorm in the bottom left as the Vivid Red? No. I'm gonna guess based on this tone and the text, this is Vermilion. Yeah, Vermilion Zerg. And we've got Fox in here, once again, as the Coyote Brown Zerg. It's Zerg versus Zerg all day long. And this is Paradise, a map by Biddyb. Maxium also by Biddyb. I don't know if I said that. But hey, Maxium also had all of these maps that so far have a Liquipedia page. I'm just going to throw that out there. We are on Liquipedia now. We're kind of a big deal. I don't know what to tell you. Pretty cool stuff to be on there. I use Liquipedia all the time, especially when I was doing like CS events. I used to cast Counter-Strike stuff pretty frequently, and so I used it pretty frequently there. I definitely used Liquipedia for Brood War stuff as well, so it was I knew eventually we would be on there, but I thought it would be in like 2025 with our own game. I didn't think it would be for Cosmonarchy. It was pretty cool. All right, pool openers for both players, it looks like, and that is going to get a bruh out of out of Hamster, and they both question mark. I agree. Now that, just from that one comment, I feel like both players are going to think that the other guy is cheesing them. And that's not really happening. They're both going for pool into Larvosk. So what's really interesting is that when you've got Zerg versus Protoss or Zerg versus Terran, I have regularly seen hatch first into a tech node after, but it looks like ZvZ, they go tech node into Larvosk for the production, right? And so they don't really go that fast expansion round. Now we did see Hamster do that in one game, but everybody else seems to be very sold on the Larvosk. Hamster is like the only one daring to not do that. So that's kind of interesting. Gerald's going to go ahead and scout earlier than his opponent, and he will scout him first. So nice little RNG favoring the man. Got a couple of quas out. I wonder if we should play like sounds from the quas, like from the units that actually hatch. Should they get a custom sound? I don't know. I feel like that might be a little bit too noisy because you train units way more often than anything else in this game. So I feel like that might be a little bit too noisy to hear. But when you make a structure, you do hear the sound effect of the structure, right? The yes response from the structure. I feel like that's pretty cool. But maybe some people will argue that that's also too noisy. I'm not sure. Going to be a faster quad. Okay, both players going for Larvosk follow-up. It is actually the first time I have seen this. I think in any mirror matchup. I know technically we did have Bio versus Bio, but in TVT, but that was Shopkeeper Dog was playing a little bit differently than Shambler, right? He had a more greedy opener. Like, so far, the first three structures that each player has gotten, it's been pool, Larvosk, Larvosk for both of the players. That's interesting. A couple of differentiations in the purchasing here is that we do have some Zets out. Gerald going to get active on the map, scout out, see where his opponent is at. Neither player interested in expanding just yet. I do think that it was somebody who was telling me, I think it might have been Gerald, somebody was posting in the games channel in our server, and he was talking about how getting an Ovaleth early on can be pretty useful. Look at them, both getting Zets actually. Can be pretty useful for just confirming certain details. In a mirror matchup, that might be harder to pull, because obviously it's Vespene that you're not using for e.g. a Larvosk or whatever. And so, yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but look at this. Gerald going for the Nathrok Lake. Okay, so he's, the Vornath Pond as it is now, yeah. Oh, look at that. He even won the Zeth fight. That's always a mark of a true Zerg player, I'm just saying. But going for the pond here, so that's the upgraded pool. It gives you access to Vorvacors from your Zeths. That's a mutation you can make. But it also gives you access to the Nathracor, which is a flying unit. The Naths deal really poorly with quas. And I feel like Vorvs aren't that much better either, thinking about it. I think Vorvs only have one armor anyway. Maybe they have two. I could be wrong about that. I can't remember. Fox going for his expansion now. Gerald not quite interested in doing that just yet. He did make a lot of Zeths. So I do feel like at some point he's going to turn some of those into Vorvs. But he makes 3 pairs of Naths. I guess his plan is to try to figure out where the army is, tie it up, engage it. And yeah, he's making 3 Vorvs as of right now. And then he wants to maybe go into the, try to heckle him with like, an air attack or something, right? Oh, look at this. This is a really important scout here because when you see this, you know your opponent has the the pond. Like, I don't know how advanced Fox is here, but if I'm in that situation, I'm thinking, damn, I need to put down a Spraith. And look at that, he does put down a Kagrant. So I think he's going to turn this into an anti-air static defense tower. And he doesn't actually have his quas in place for it, but he's going to be able to welcome it. Yeah, you can see the mincemeat there that happens because it's just mass quas. It's pure quas right now for Fox. The Nats are going to go up there and maybe see if they can snipe something. I'd love to see them go after the Larvosks here, yeah. I'm not sure that they'll be able to respond to it in time. The Sprite didn't get made during that battle. So yeah, they should be able to pick at least one Larvosk. I feel like the Quads are going to start coming out, and it's going to be too much. Oh, no, they're going to be able to focus on it. Okay, that's still really, really good for Gerald, actually. Looking at the way that that's set up, like my dog was barking and cheering for him and everything, killing both Larvosks, that does set you behind. Like, you are talking about a lot of Vespene there. I can't remember if it's 250 or 300. I'm pretty sure it's 300 gas that just got wasted, though. However, again, Quads are going to deal way better with JarrellStorm's army comp. So he's going to end up losing a lot of his Zeths here. He does end up killing a decent number of the Quads, but there's way more coming, right? And he just doesn't have that many units. So he ends up with 6 Zeths. I'm not sure he's actually going to be able to get out of dodge right now. Yeah, they're going to just end up capitulating to these Quads. Yeah, I would have maybe just gunned it there, but you know what? You keep one. That's fine. Right now, a lot of Quads being made for Gerald. His Larvosk is, or his Hatrask is on the table here. 5 Nathrakors, and of course there's Sprites coming up here for Fox, so that's back at his base. He might get a little bit hung up on the micro. I do like using the Nats as a little bit of a shield, so that you kind of like force your opponent to target them instead of your Quads. Your Quads are your lifeline here. Obviously, you got a production advantage as well, being closer to your enemy, so or closer to than your enemy to your base, right? So you can just waypoint out units there. More and more units coming on down. It's mass Quads. Fox mono battling it out right now. He's going to end up losing one out, a little bit exploratory, figuring out where his opponent is at in terms of military. Should still be able to break him here, especially with those Zets not really finding too much purchase. And you know what? I feel like Gerald might have gotten a little bit too eager. He's got his Hydrith Den on the way. Fox, 300 minerals in the bank. Not exactly... well, he's microing out a lot, right? So he's not really spending as much time. He's got one Burrowed Quas trying to regain some health there, and that is going to help turn the tide as well as the reinforcements unit. He's still waypointing units across. So, again, Gerald just needs to hold for a little bit longer. And I think he might be able to. He's got the Zeths out. He does get a pretty good spread on them. Honestly, that was really, really good for Gerald. Wow. That was surprisingly good for him, honestly. A little bit of micro is not going to save Fox. So Gerald ends up sticking it out. We got the Spraith here. That's going to be for, obviously, anti-Nath. And now, you know, maybe there's going to be something else on the line because Hydriths are on the way. Or the Hydrith Den is done, so Hydras are on the way. Yeah, interesting change. Okay, well, Fox still has a lot more workers, right? Like, despite the pressure that was exerted on his tech, he's going to stick it out onto the pool units. He's got his one Quas he kept alive. He's going to use that to spot for enemy units coming. And Gerald's got to slowly saturate his natural. I still like Fox's position a lot, but I would love to see him get off of tier 1. Or you know, specialize his tech a little bit more. And you can see both players banking their gas right now. I think what they both want at this point is that tier 2. So you do need 900 gas for that. Obviously a very, very heavy cost in that situation, but they'll still probably both get it before 10 minutes, which is impressive. His Quad's sneaking in here. Fox is going to be able to see, okay, your saturation, you are making workers. So I haven't seen one thing that Gerald did there that I'm not sure if it was conscious or not, but Gerald hid his Hydras, right? Or at the very least, he didn't move his Hydras. So his Hydras have not been revealed. So Fox knows, okay, I can probably stick it out for a little bit here. I'm going to make some more static defense. I'm going to make some more... he actually does put his own Hydrith Den down. And Gerald's actually mutating it for the Skiback Scab. The Scab is interesting because it gives you access to the Skithercore, a fast unit, but there's already static defense here for anti-air. There's actually going to be 3 Spraiths in each base covering the mineral line. Now, Fox does spend a good amount of gas on another Larvosk, and of course he did end up going for the Hydrith Den. He's going to mass up his Quaz army again. He is keeping his minerals down overall. But now we've got Bactylisks out. I feel like Iziracore Bact is going to be way too good at dealing with Quaz units, and Fox is going to have a hard time answering that. He didn't end up going for the faster tier 2. He could afford his tier 2 now, but it probably would have hit too late looking at it. Let's see how much damage he can do to offset it a little bit, because Gerald's caught up in the workers, right? I mean, Fox hasn't built workers since he hasn't really felt like he has the opportunity to. Bactylisks have 1 armor, so Quaz will be able to deal full damage to them if they can get on top of them, but that's kind of the problem, is that they can't really get on top of them. So he's getting some worker kills, reducing him down, hopefully, for Fox's sake, hopefully he can reduce him down below 30, but it's not going to happen that way. 11 pairs of Zeths coming out here right now, and 11 Hydras coming out for Fox. So he'll actually be able to hold on here. He just doesn't want to suicide his Quaz too much, right? I think that's probably the main thing. I'd love for him to try to preserve some of these units until his Hydras come out, because his Hydras can deal with the Iziracores way better than the Quazalisks can. So, okay. Ski backed of his own. He wants his own, I guess he wants his own Bactylisks. Third base now coming for Gerald. Trying to macro out of this position despite the lower worker count. He's starting to rebuild a couple of his Droleths. And now the shoe is on the other foot. Gerald going for the contain. Remember, his Bactylisks are, they're not artillery, but they're pretty damn close, right? They have a pretty good range. As long as their projectile travels a certain distance, they will also bounce an extra time. So that also helps out. But the Aziracore front line is starting to dissipate. And again, the Hydra count is so big for Fox. The Bactylisks lose a lot of mobility relative to Hydras. They are going to have to be taking some retreating patterns here. And look at that. Yeah, Fox going to come on with his own Hydras. Have you guys ever seen Hydras on Hydras? You know, what year is this? Is this a campaign mission? No, I swear to God, this is what Cosmonarchy ZvZ can be like, dude. Look at that, getting up close and personal. Fox won't win this trade. The army reinforcements from Gerald being a little bit too high, but he picks all of the Bactylisks, and now you really are kind of committed, right? What has Gerald done to keep his army up, right? He's going to end up losing a lot of his Hydras. Aziracore goes down. Third base is up, but not actually mining. 2 Hydras end up skittering away. We've got many more on the way as well. Another hatch in the main. Doesn't want to spend his gas on that, I guess. Gerald's still banking a lot of Vespene, but neither player having made the full commitment to tier 2 yet. They don't feel safe enough yet. Oh my God. When I see Hydras fighting each other, dude, I just get chills, Artosis style, right? Fox really diving in here. We don't have that many more units coming out right this second here for Gerald. This might actually be where Fox ends up taking it. He's got so much money in the bank, missing a couple macro cycles on the back of this, but it might not matter. Gerald might still be able to hold, but I feel like his chances are kind of slipping away. The Quaz now after his third base. He might have been counting on the units there not actually coming in, the reinforcements not being a real thing. Fox has gotten a couple of units there. He's queued up 12 Hydras as well. Gonna push the issue and try to force it. Ran me over. GG. Gerald not able to take it. Fox scores a dub. Well, would you look at that? Everybody's got a win and everybody's got a loss. It's perfectly balanced or something like that. I feel like that's pretty legit, pretty cool. And yeah, let me take a quick look over at the replay here because we might end up doing another one or we might end up leaving it at that for now. I think we might be able to do, let's see, one more. Why not one more? Let's do one more ZvZ and then we'll call it a night. We are now on to Rage Slave. And it's a rematch of the previous match. We've got TheNightFox in the top left as the Coyote Brown Zerg. And we've got JarrellStorm at 3 o'clock here. And I guess it's just, you'd call this the right spawn. This is not cyan. This is it? And I don't think we allow the colors that are like the iridescence. Is this turquoise? Oh, it's eggshell blue. That's a good color. I like that color. Very striking. Yeah, Fox is talking about his distaste for the unit evolutions. But, you know, I guess he's the only one I've heard that's actually complained about that. Not to say that his complaint is illegitimate, because, you know, I can't decide what you like as a person, right? But it's interesting to me that he feels that way, and I think it does reflect in his play. He doesn't really mutate too many units, right? In fact, has he done that yet? I guess some of the games haven't gone too long. But he did make a ski back. He just didn't use it for anything, I don't think. Anyway, we do have some more ZvZ action to close our video out. I hope you've enjoyed the tour. We've got 3 more games to cast after this in a part 2. Man, I can't wait to have even more ambient sound effects filling the screen while I'm looking over bases like this. Because when I take a pause to sip and remind you guys about coffee and how it's epic and that you can support development, it's really cool, man. It just it lets me it'll let me do some things that I can't do otherwise. Look at that. I even moved the coffee thing so it's actually more aligned. Isn't that epic? I did that right now for you guys, right now. That's how much I care about you and coffee. But no, it's I do think that having a little bit more sounds going on in the background will probably be worthwhile, I think. I don't see why not. JarrellStorm moving towards the bottom left as he attempts to scout his opponent. Looks like he'll go Pool Larvask Hatch. This is an interesting build. Now, some of the games that they played didn't get submitted as part of the replays. I think all the replays worked. We do have an issue sometimes in Cosmonarchy where our replays don't function the way that they should. Is probably the same kind of thing that breaks for StarCraft 1. We were working on a fix for that, but it ended up getting a little bit tech stalled because the issue is basically like a command buffer thing. Like, programmers among you might know this. I know what I'm talking about, but essentially it would be like if you tried to transmit too many commands at the same time, you would overflow the buffer. It would be basically too big. And, you know, a command is like moving units and whatnot, right? And so I think, I'm not 100% sure on whether or not this, like, Cosmonarchy has any effect on this, because obviously we have much higher selection limit. We have the multi-building select stuff. So I'm not sure if that counts as secondary commands or not. I think it's just issuing a command to the same number of units, like, or to a different number of units, but it's still the same command. So I wouldn't think that would overload the buffer. But we've also done stuff like, you know, smooth that out a lot of units and, you know, make things a lot faster or whatever. So for all I know, it does have something to do with it. But either way, the replays don't always work. That being said, the replays that I did get sent were apparently the most interesting ones. And so I'm wondering if there weren't some build order losses or whatever that happened. JarrellStorm going to move out to perhaps intercept this Obeleth. It doesn't have anything in it, but Gerald might not. Obviously, he's not going to know that off the dome. This is actually Fox's scout, so he has not scouted with a worker. In fact, I don't see a dead Droleth here. I was talking about replays and programming stuff, so I might have missed whether Gerald lost his worker or if he just sent it back home after scouting the bottom left. Yeah, it doesn't look like he went up, so he must have just walked back. Yeah, I'm looking at the minimap fog reveal. So the Obeleth will fly over. Gerald seems not at all concerned about this, and instead he's going to see if he can break the whole idea of the ramp here is to hold that kind of thing, and Gerald just tried to break it. A bold move. But it's not going to end up happening. A couple burrowed quads to repair, you know, or self-regenerate. We do have a Hydra then coming much faster here for Fox. He is going to scout that there's already an expansion out. So I wonder if that gives him pause. But instead, he's going to continue on. He does not want to change his move, change his mind. Looks like with all the extra minerals in the bank, Gerald's going to go ahead and drop another hatch. Always, I think, a sound idea. Watching for the move out, now he has the opportunity to respond by building some more quads or whatever he feels like he needs to do. A Circuit couldn't hurt. But for now, Gerald will skimp on that. When Zerg starts to move out, you can always expect that there's another cycle or two of units on the way. And so that's where I was thinking the Circuit would definitely help out for that anti-surface defense. Hydrath Den now for Gerald, but his is going to be much later, as Fox's is already done. He's not making anything because of it or through it just yet, instead just flooding quads. No, we'll have to wait and see. The engagement comes in. There is a bit of a surround with Zeths. Gerald finding a little bit of success courtesy of that. But the quads count is still in Fox's favor. I'm not sure he knows that, though. He's actually massing up and maybe wants to take a more commanding win of the fight. Gerald might be in trouble here. 8 quads are about to come out. He did just join up with another 4. A couple Zets coming in as well for Fox. Yeah, this army does look a lot better. I'll say that much. Looks a lot deadlier. But his Zets can't really get in on the fight, so there's a little bit of a poor spacing from Fox. He's going to start trickling a few in, courtesy of his quads dying. So not the most cost-efficient way of taking that fight. He does have more Zets coming on in, and maybe a couple of quads as well. Those slower-moving dots on the minimap. Yeah, he's got quads out the wazoo. He made the dem, but he's not using it for anything. I would love to see some Zero cores on the front line at this point, right? They are only minerals, so it would factor into his build. Thinking about maybe diving in with the Zephyr cores. They do just evaporate, courtesy of the quads. Gotta watch out for that. So it looks like Fox is just gonna pull on back, reconsider his options, go for his expansion. The Obeleth is moving around. Might consider... Yeah, look at this. He pinched off 6 units so that he can dump them into the Obeleth here and see if maybe he can't harass or heckle his opponent. If you stand like right here, the enemy player won't see you, right? Which is kind of cool. And look at that. Gerald is going to leave, so this impending drop, I should say, might be able to get some good damage dealt. He gets loaded up. And indeed, you spot the move out here, you definitely think to yourself, damn, I could absolutely ruin this man. If he goes all the way into the main, which it looks like Fox is going to do, he's actually going to be able to scout the Skibact in production as well. He'll be aware that there's a potential for Skither cores. Fox making his own Skibact. Maybe thinking about Bactylisks at this point for the artillery. He's not going to go all the way in, though. He's instead going to go ahead and drop into the natural, trying to pressure the workers. Well, he kills the Quaz that was protecting it, and now he's going to go in there. So he will end up scouting that and finding it out. There's not that many combat units being made right now. Gerald could end up losing his Larvosk. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. He didn't end up actually making too many units. And the Quaz are going to stand and fight, see if they can chance themselves. Now they're going to go ahead and finish that Larvosk out. All right, they'll get cleaned up. Gerald wants to force the issue based on that. Making a couple of Bactylisks as well back at home, perhaps. No, there are 2 eggs back all the way over there. They're about to finish, but the fight might be over by then, as Fox has a great concave, sending in reinforcements, Hydras included, on both sides. We've got a big mix of different units here. Bactylisk's going to come out and start to bounce. I feel like they're in too low numbers to really do too much. When you get on top of them, they don't deal nearly as much damage. But it looks like that might be enough for now as Fox reconsiders his options. Reinforcements coming in for Gerald. No workers yet established at the natural. A lot of idle workers over here for Gerald, but besides that, remutating his Larvosk. You can see it's very vulnerable. And again, it's a lot of gas. Zeth's going to go ahead and charge on in here automatically. Bactylisk's getting severely reduced DPS, courtesy of the situation here. And then they turn back into Hydras, but then they get overwhelmed. They might pick, yeah, one more unit. He should just cancel that Bactylisk, get his money back. No, he's not going to do that. As you can see, not the most ideal of situations there. Gerald focusing on other things, making 8 Hydras right now, as we speak. Taking a 3rd base right now, off-center, as we speak. The one Bactylisk slinking back away, and the Ovaleth is moving down there. It will... Yep, it sees the 3rd base on the way. So Fox will know that we still have some action left in this game. A little bit of macro. It doesn't actually see the Zorkas coming down. Well, it might in a second here if Fox is not ousted. If it moves up north, Gerald's going to have the opportunity to reveal his strat or not. Does he even notice? He doesn't see. He has no idea. The Ovaleth is blending in using camouflage. I can't believe that. You can just come up here and see the Zorkas. That's very funny. At the very least, he sees the move out. Maybe that was intentional almost. I don't think it was, but Gerald could have been like, I'm going to show you that I'm leaving, and then instill fear into you. And Fox ends up pulling away with the Ovaleth. That's kind of like in Counter-Strike. I was talking about Counter-Strike earlier, so it's in my brain. In Counter-Strike, when you have 2 players on opposite teams standing like right side by side, but they haven't spotted each other somehow, that's what that Ovaleth placement reminded me of. And look at this. Oh, for a second, I thought he was going to jump straight in to see the Zorkas. Do we have any anti-air defenses? No, we actually have no defenses at all. Really, for either player. Yeah, not a single one. Another hatch in the main here for Gerald as he starts to send workers down to the 3rd base. It is a little bit vulnerable. The K-Grid does spread pretty far, though. Mineral-only base going to be taken here by Fox as his 3rd. Again, behind the 8-ball, tempo-wise. That was what helped him on Paradise, but looking at this game, it looks like the shoe will be on the other foot. Interesting that there's so much play and back and forth in these types of situations. Starting to see a little bit of pseudo, like almost depletion here. A couple more minutes of mining in the main, and then those resources will be a lot less powerful. When your resources deplete, they stay alive for you to harvest from, but they basically, the saturation goes down. So if you have your 3rd worker is completely useless at that point, and your 2nd worker is almost useless, but not quite. It's at 25% efficiency. So I always highly recommend that when you get depleted, you transfer some of your workers over to another base. Currently, there's no mechanism for regenerating that, but maybe that'll be like a tier 3 thing we can explore. Hatch in the middle of nowhere here as a nice little macro position, sort of anchoring Fox to this general area. You can't build on the solar array, the black tiles over here, but you can build up to around that area, right? So maybe that's something that Fox is going to consider, making 4 Skither cores. A little bit of a scout/raiding party. We've got some Quaz on standby in the main for JarrellStorm to respond to, but... Oh, and also in the natural. And not in the 3rd, so the 3rd is potentially vulnerable for that. Some Zorius coming out here for JarrellStorm, thinking of doing exactly the second part of his name and storming the situation. Ovaleth gonna once again confirm, hey, there's no static defense here whatsoever. And Tier 2 is finally on the cards. We got it, boys. Tier 2 in a Zerg versus Zerg. and it is the man with the macro advantage to do so. Fox has taken the mineral only, while Gerald took a gas base. I think that must have been why he took the gas base, but we'll see if Fox can overwhelm him with pure, mineral units in the time being. Obviously, when you're caught in the middle of your tech transition, you're going to be less efficient. His unit's kind of getting caught up here on the approach, so Gerald is going to end up losing a good amount of his front line before his back line can actually get into the fight. That being said, he still has a couple more units trickling on that front line part. Pavlov coming in here as if posing for a drop, but there's nothing there. Nothing in it. Just witnessing this fight. Backtusk's going to see if they can do some light stutter stepping. But yeah, the Hydralisks are here, so they're going to be able to hunt them down. These armies will not stay alive for very long. Oh, he gets a couple of Hydras on the way out. Ooh, almost. Yeah, not quite. That Hydra tries to fall away. The Hydras will finally put down that Ovoleth, though. JarrellStorm no longer going to be spied upon. What is his tech going to be looking like? A Zorka Shroud just about to finish for Fox. Meanwhile, the Calcure Lake is done or is in production for Gerald. He might be thinking about going for Calculisks or maybe Lyrilisks. As of right now, the mass Hydras are going to work out because the front line, well, there was no front line for Fox. That being said, he's got more reinforcements coming in. So it does feel to me like Fox finally switching on to the Bacillus is going to be able to crush this fight. Some Quas coming out here to deal with the impending Zethicors, almost as if Gerald read it, like that was going to be a thing. Maybe just needed to spend some minerals down. Oh, no, obviously they're for the Lyrilisks that he was about to make, but I don't think he can do so. He's got to call GG, boys. Fox winning versus the guy who techs. Turns out, if you don't have any static defense, you can't handle it over here. Well, like I said, we didn't see the same distribution of games between every player, but maybe we will by the end of it. You never know what Hamster might be up to. So Gerald ended up dropping that game. Fox currently in the lead in our Zerg-only Fiesta. I hope to see you guys for part 2. That'll be coming tomorrow. GG.